Okay, perfect. So recording is running. And with that, I would like to hand over the stage to George, who will present who will present today, and he will introduce us to today's topic. So thank you very much, and George, the stage is yours.
Thank you and welcome. Let's start. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So, my name is Jorge. I'm teaching artificial intelligence in a business school since 2019. I'm a cognitive scientist and MBA. I also have a company and I do research on a neuroscience lab. Today, I'm here to share my experience with students, companies, and with the process of using artificial intelligence inside the company. As you can see by the title, sometimes we have some roadblocks. So we are going to talk about the main roadblocks for my perspective and experience. Of course, there are different companies and different workflows, and maybe you'll find new roadblocks. But the journey is with some problems, and we have to think about it. So let's think together. Most of our problems begin with human behavior and human thinking. And this is the common in every company. We still have humans managing, working, and as clients. So artificial intelligence is not going to change that in the next few years. So we still have to deal with the human knowledge. But I must say that artificial intelligence, the name is very cool, but maybe it's not artificial nor intelligence in the sense that it's not human intelligence, and it's not artificial because it's a natural creation of our brains and our knowledge and representation of our culture. So since 2022, everyone talks about generative AI. And as you know, because you are here, generative AI is the kind of artificial intelligence that can generate new pieces of information, and you can interact with it only with a human language. So you don't need to code. You just go to the AI and you interact with human language. And it's going to create new things, but it's not like talking with a human. But most people think that it's just a way you can go there and you can ask questions, you'll get some reply. And yeah, that is true, but you can improve the way you interact with generative AI, and interacting with generative AI is not so natural as you think. But everyone uses ChatGPT for a lot of things, like emails, for creating documents, for writing LinkedIn posts, to improve the social media metrics, to look at data. But how can we apply this in a good way in a company? And how can we do it in a bad way? If we are truly ready to leverage the full potential of generative AI in our organizations, it depends. It depends on the company and depends on the management and it depends on a lot of things. But it's a complex process because it works with humans and humans are not very reliable on thinking. Technology can change, but we have the same prehistoric brain that Homo sapiens sapiens had in the past. So our brain is the same, and the moment we are born, we get in touch with a culture, with new ideas, and of course, language. Language is a very important thinking tool. but our brain was designed by evolution to survive, to process information and to act and to think fast. And the slow thinking is a later use of the brain. So our brain is not ready to think a lot about things because it consumes energy and it's hard to think. But we are very fast reacting to the environment, and we are very fast to have opinions and to imagine things. So that's why sometimes when you talk about artificial intelligence, we mix with sci-fi, and when we are afraid of artificial intelligence, we are recalling movies and science fiction, and we are not looking at evidence. And artificial intelligence is not on human level intelligence. If you look at this model of the brain, I hope that you see my mouse. This part is focused on emotions, and it's more fast than the other part that is going to reason about things in a slow way. So when we talk about artificial intelligence and bringing artificial intelligence to a company, at least I am talking as we bring a tool, a digital tool, that we can use it for our benefit. It's going to change how we work in the company, but the company has their own way of working, and it has their own knowledge and their way of doing things. So when we were talking about artificial intelligence, it's like when you buy a hammer, the hammer is not going to fix things by itself. You have to know how to use the hammer and what you are going to do with the hammer. And you can see here some examples. Generative AI, maybe you are thinking of ChatGPT from OpenAI. And if you listen to podcasts and interviews, I think that all companies are saying we use AI. We do AI for everything. And I think that takes value of the human part that uses the AI to deliver a good service. So AI is not solving everything, and it's not doing everything you think. Last week, the 2024 Work Trend Index annual report from Microsoft and LinkedIn said that 66% of leaders, they would not hire someone without AI skills. So they think that AI skills are for everything, or at least I don't know what AI skills they are thinking, but maybe they are saying that they want someone who can do prompt engineering, and at least they understand the technology, because leaders can create training process inside companies, and they can teach and educate everyone they want to use AI in this sense, unless they are talking about developers, of course. So maybe leaders, they want someone with real expertise and knowledge about the topics they are being hired for. And of course, they can add AI skills to that previous background and expertise. And when we say that 75% of people are using AI at work, we don't know if these are working well with AI. What are they doing with AI? If they are using their own AI or the company's AI, if they are protecting data, and we don't know if it's adding value for the client. So these figures, they are important to create the hype. The hype is real. generative AI is here and is ready for use, and everybody can use it. At least in Europe and America and China and Japan, but not all countries are accessing the AI in the same way we are in Europe. And we don't know, we don't have access to evidence to make some clear points about the common use of AI. And we must remember that AI is very bad for the environment because it uses a lot of energy. And if 75% of people, they are using AI at work and we don't know if it's adding value, maybe this is a problem. But I'll leave that for another talk and another conversation. Let's look at more evidence from this report. Employees want AI at work and won't wait for companies to catch up. So it's a fast movement. Everyone wants AI. And also employees, they are looking for AI to upgrade themselves. And they say that the power users, the power users can save more than 30 minutes per day. They say it. We don't have like a way to measure. And what do they do with this 30 minutes free? We don't know. Because if they go to social media and just or just browsing, surfing the web, it's not good for their brain and for their mind. If they spend the 30 minutes reading or doing some strategy or collaborating or taking care of themselves, that's good. But if they are just saving time with this magnificent tool, we can have another kind of problems. So these findings are not findings. They are subjective ideas that structure the hype. And I must say that from my point of view, early adopters of AI, they are doing the right thing. But maybe when using in the company, they have to think more before they start using in the big processes of the company. So I always tell my students that when you start working with artificial and AI and specific with generative AI, they have to start with pen and paper. And they have to create a roadmap, and that roadmap has to be aligned with the strategy, with the operations, with the data strategy, and then artificial intelligence strategy. You can create this roadmap like in this image. You just have to think on the knowledge that you have, on the data that you have, on the brains you have in your company, and then you start to create and connect ideas with the technology. Of course that you have to know about the technology at least enough to start using it. And I'll give you like 30 seconds to think about real major roadblocks inside a company. But first, I will tell my experience because there's an ideal roadmap in a manager's mind. And the first one is like, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. And nowadays, it's very cheap and ready to use. And so they acquire some license or they're starting to use a free version of an AI. And then there's this magical idea that everything is going to work out. Like You have the software and you start using it. Humans always think like this. Other examples like going to the gym. Well, we all think that we can subscribe our gym and then we'll get fit by magic. But it's the same thing. When I talk with companies and I work with them, they think now we have this, now we are ready to make profit. And they don't understand that bringing AI for the company has to connect with the company and it has to have access to good data from the company and it needs a vision. It needs a vision to be applied. So it's not magic, it's science. It's going to change the productivity, and we hope that it's going to bring some profit to you, of course. And it's not ready to use. It's ready to use only in the sense that they can do some basic stuff. That's why maybe your teenage daughter or son is using generative AI to finish their homework. But it's different when we use it for a company to get some leverage and to get some advantage in the market. Most people don't know where to start, and others, they want to wait for better AI. Others think that AI is dangerous, and you know that at least in Portugal, when AI appears on the news, it's saying AI can be very dangerous. AI is going to feed on your data and it's going to take the pictures of your children and they're going to use it for bad things. Remember that AI don't have intention, that AI is a tool. So we must address that what is dangerous is some human minds. Not all, of course, but it's not a technology by itself. Of course, it's going to appear better AI, but we have maybe the worst AI in the next years, but it will improve, of course, and we have to start with our processes in the company and the data we have, so we can feed the artificial intelligence. But we have some other character in this drama. We have culture. And the culture is the way that the company works. And everyone knows that when we change companies, we enter in a new realm because of the culture. And the culture eats everything, like in this Pac-Man diagram. The culture, if you have a company that is centered in the managers, you can have like gatekeepers of the information and gatekeepers of productivity, because they have their own agenda. They're always calling you for meetings, long meetings, and they are always giving you paperwork and interrupting your thoughts. So this is a kind of culture that is not very good for artificial intelligence. And a good culture for artificial intelligence is a culture that records everything, not in the way of spying, but in the way of feeding the artificial intelligence. Quick meetings with short information, documents with clear information and sources. You give people time to think about their expertise and to apply the tool. You don't hire someone else to say what you have to do, but you develop from inside your own knowledge, and then you hire someone to help you or get you the most of your own knowledge and with the tool. But you have to embrace error. You have to embrace some uncertainty, and you have to change the way you usually do things in a fast way. I believe that small companies have an advantage of using artificial intelligence. Large companies, they are bigger animals, and they have to articulate different kinds of process and decisions. Of course, they have money to change things, but they have their own legacy. And if you're starting a company now, of course, it's easy to implement AI. If you have a company with 40 years and a lot of information is on paper, you have another kind of problem. But companies, they don't exist, of course. They are just a bunch of individuals with a common goal. And the culture is a collective habit. And this is why it's difficult, because when you are working in a company for 15 years or something, you start to think that this is the way we have to do. And all companies have stupid rules. And this is the technical term we use when we are mapping the way that things are done in a company. And sometimes we have lots and lots of knowledge in a company, but that knowledge, it's not explicit. So machines need to have access to very explicit knowledge. So if you are doing research, if you have a research like, and you a research lab, or you are doing an office with research for marketing, you have to have a clear document explaining every step of the process, and you have to define the rules of good research. Of course, you can organize with sources, and but you have to have a clear way. You can't expect that everyone knows what is good research, what is good for your good data for your research. Only the persons that they are doing it. It's the same for every company. If you are managing the stock, you know how you do it, but maybe it's not written, maybe it's not so explicit that someone else can take my place. And we have to think that machines, they are not very bright, and they need to know everything so they can make the right predictions. If you recall from other webinars, generative AI works on prediction. So every word is predicted, every output. So we have to provide good processes and good data so it can predict in the right way for our company. And the human mind is very bad with predictions. It works also with prediction, but we have bias. We have bias because we have some limitations, like in working memory. So if we have too much information, we stick to the one we know. If we don't have enough meaning, we start to forget. And if we need to act fast, we are not very good at thinking, at deep thinking, and sometimes we don't know what we should remember. So when you are looking at a series of webinars, for example, your brain is trying to filter the information you need, the information that you agreed with, the information that you don't agree with, and maybe you are trying to overlap with your own strategy business. But at the end of each session, you will forget some part of the information. And when you look at the information again, it will make a new sense for you. And when you think more about the topic, you're making some connections. So remember, when you go to work with a company, all the brains of the company, it doesn't matter what role they have in the company, is doomed with this curse, the cognitive bias. So the machine, it needs a lot of information because it can work out and it doesn't have to worry about life. But the human brain needs the right information. It needs to repeat information and it has to have some meaning. So if we go to a company and just deliver a one session training, it's not going to work well because people won't learn anything just for one training session. And they won't improve their workflow with just one idea of a training. They will need more things. So once again, the biggest block in a roadmap is probably the way you think and the way you use your brain. Let's see how can we solve this. We have to know more about human learning because we want to empower our teams. And our team is human, at least for now, but it's human. So we have to know more about human learning. That's good because we have good scientific information about human learning. So if you bring the tool, let's focus on how humans learn. If you want to empower your team, leaders have to remind one thing. If you empower a good professional with skills, expertise, knowledge, you're going to give him a power to enhance that knowledge. But if leaders think that, oh, I'm using AI, I can hire anyone and just use AI. But if that team member is not able to think and do the work, you're going to empower some errors and some biases and some problems. If you look to your own processes, and sometimes you work with clients in a way and the other one in other, and it depends on the person, maybe that process is not so well defined. And this is more easy to find in medium and small companies. They do things with less resources, and sometimes they don't write down, they don't have a document, they don't have a defined process. And in the large companies, the workflow is based on their legacy and in their productivity ideas, and maybe it's not focused on the human brain and the way people think. For example, we still have work hours, and we look at work hours as a way to think about what people are doing in their jobs. But that's not a good measure, right? You have to think in other ways of measuring. So even in the processes and workflows, you have to do some deep work and some paperwork and use your meetings to define who is responsible for what kind of process and in updating the process and who is going to make the workflow easier and more natural to do. And of course, have a strategy to use the AI. And remember that a strategy is connected, a strategy with AI is always after you have a strategy for your business. And of course, strategy in your business is not only making money, it's more than that. Ethics is a no-brainer. Of course, you have to have ethics, and ethics doesn't have to do with just complying to the law. It's more, it's how to act well. And companies, they have to think. Of course, you can have this beautiful framework from Microsoft, but you have to think how we can act well with inside our company, and of course with other stakeholders. And how does knowledge management is being done in your company? Do you have a company that only one person knows how to do things and the other ones have to ask five in each 5 minutes they're going to ask, how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I ask this for this client? So who are the decision makers and the gatekeepers of your company? Who are keeping the knowledge alive and explicit in the company, and how you do that? A good way to think about knowledge management, or a good way to put it on in a practical way, is you must update your team's knowledge about how you do the things in a very frequent way. Like every 2 months, you have to update some information, like small trainings, or have a database of knowledge that you can have access with videos. And this artificial intelligence is very useful because you can, if you have like a company with that work with different languages, you can easily create something, an information, and you can adapt it in different languages, in sound, images, and text. So you can create materials. Sometimes people think only in artificial intelligence as a way to create new business models and to interact with the client, but you can create and you can use artificial intelligence to empower the team and to make human learning, empowering cleaning processes, and creating a better culture and knowledge management with artificial intelligence. So just a brief example about human learning. Some people say that we have a TikTok mindset. TikToks, the short videos. So people see like 30 short videos in a small amount of time, and they are not learning, they are just entertaining their brain. So they are putting more information in a limited platform, and we are always adding information. If you go to LinkedIn, there are a lot of gurus talking about artificial intelligence, but don't go after each new thing about artificial intelligence. Start to look for basic information, basic use, and then do your homework with pen and paper. So what we know about how humans learn and how can we change the education inside our teams about artificial intelligence. So there's this spaced repetition. It's like you have to put your team members doing the trainings across time. They have to repeat some of the trainings. They have to test, of course. And the best way that you want them to recover that information. So they have to try. They have to have doubts. They have to make mistakes, and they have to be corrected, and then they improve, because this is the way that you can improve how learning happens inside your brain. So if you go and Google spaced repetition, recall, these are the main skills of creating good long-term memories about a topic. You can do your own flashcards in your company so people recall the the information. Like you can do like some practice, like a 15-minute practice a day, so they can have a strong memory of good habits of working with technology, good ways to have to keep the data privacy and to keep the data quality. And after you get some basic information, you have to give opportunity for each team member to elaborate that knowledge with the knowledge they have about their specific role, task, skill. They have to have some time and they have to work out that kind of work so they can share with other members of the team. And they must practice the use of generative AI in different ways. They have to don't use just the one kind of prompt, but try to interleave the different prompts and the different skills they have to apply for using the artificial intelligence. And remember that you have to know something about the topics to make a judgment about the information that is being generated. If you are generating a text with a law topic, I hope that you have some good knowledge about that law so that you can make a judgment about the quality of the output. And to write down the workflows, try this. It's like make it very clear. Open access for your all members of the team so they can improve or can they ask questions about the workflow. I work with companies that they had this workflow, but everybody was interpreting the workflow in a different way. So they have this, they had this clear process, but in their workflow, people did a different interpretation of that process. And keep it simple, because people have low working memory, so they have to have clear ideas or frameworks so they can make decisions in good time and avoid the bias, the cognitive bias. And one of the biggest things that you don't find in business cases is how to solve problems. If you go and see the big companies that are related to AI, they have business cases, how this company applied artificial intelligence. But it's a fantasy because they don't have problems. They don't report problems. Everything was easy. It was, yeah, I used the Copilot and now everything is faster. You have to understand that every implementation is going to create a list of problems and knowledge problems. And you have to write down everything. And you want those problems to create knowledge so that you can improve your artificial intelligence use. So, uh, um, deep dive into problems. And this is like the hierarchy of how you can implement AI. It's like strategy first and how to protect the assets of the business, work out how you do things, then what kind of data do you have and what kind of data do you need in the future to make better predictions, and then how you're going to use AI to add value for your business and for your clients. and let's think together. Is AI dangerous? Maybe that's not a good question. Are the organizations that use AI aligned with human values? This is the biggest questions that we should all make to get better information. So when you try to solve the roadblocks, you can think, learn, and act. Like, don't act first, because if you act first, you're not in your best cognition fitness. So you must think, pen and paper. Then you have to learn the basic before you make the decision, and then you start to use artificial intelligence. It's not the other way around. You have to educate communities, not only your teams. You have to educate also your clients and your families. We have to educate everybody when they are using artificial intelligence. So it's a good way to solve roadblocks, because when we are trying to educate communities, we recall the basics and we are ready to give better information and to apply technology in a better way. And of course, we need laws to block monopolies of data and artificial intelligence, because when people argue about European laws, yeah, but they are protecting something, and we can't have this so important technology only in the hands of companies. And for the next session, in the next chapter, I'm going to give you just this teaser. When you act with a large language model, you write a prompt and you get a response. So it's easy, but maybe you are not using it in the right way. So I hope that you join us in 2 weeks so we can solve these roadblocks, but with prompt engineering. And thank you. Now I will reply to your questions.
Okay, George. So first of all, thank you very, very much for the very interesting input. Also from another perspective than only the technical part or the
Great.
technical side. Before I will give the floor to Gilherme, are there any questions to George? Okay, if not,
Probably not. Yeah. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, George. I'll be very fast just to wrap it up for today. I was following George's presentation, and of course, when we talk about roadblocks, we think of several different aspects or angles of things or areas that may actually be roadblocks for the dissemination of Gen AI or AI. But I would summarize it by saying that it all comes down to education, meaning to capacitation of the human resources. And then we're talking about literacy. And then within an organization, we're talking about culture, we're talking about leadership. And it takes all of those blocks to really underwrite a strategy. So we need to address these topics more often, I think, because if we think of our previous session, our episode number 2, we had Dr. Spee covering a very good roadmap of examples of how to use tools, how to take the best out of some tools. And again, as we were talking before, this is just a bunch of new tools. So we have new tools that we can play with and take the best and make the best out of it. But yes, it needs a strategy. Yes, it needs good governance. Yes, that needs decent leadership, good leadership. And above all, we need to have more people onboarding, meaning literacy, education, training, skilling, reskilling. But this comes within the culture of the organization, of course. So I would say, just as, to wrap it up, we've had episode 1 and 2 on this series with a lot of very good contents. I think Jorge's presentation was very good, just to somehow, stop, like, let's refocus, let's think that we all have to know what we're talking about and the tools that we may be using and how to use them, etc. And then we're evolving to episode number 4 within 2 weeks, and then we'll have a final session that's pretty much open to all Q&A everyone wants to bring and share. Okay. So, Jorge, again, thank you very much. We'll be editing these sessions, these recordings, and sharing with the community, and hopefully to keep on raising awareness to these topics, and to bring more people on board. Of course, we need this to capacitate our economy and our society, and this is the ultimate goal of these projects. We need more knowledge to get out there, to reach out there. And we need companies and SMEs to reach out to us if they don't have the knowledge, to ask for help. And they got to know that we're here to help them. And this is the basics. And so let's work together. I'm glad we're doing this. Thank you very much again, Jorge and Robert and all your team. And we'll be seeing each other soon. In the meantime, we have our channels on all of our channels on LinkedIn, and we'll be communicating these pieces of recordings and presentations with all. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much all together, and see you soon. Bye.
You bet. Thank you.
Bye.